Hi there, I'm Dahlia Cmrlec, and in today's video podcast, I'd like to share with you some of the detrimental life experiences that might come along when an individual holds onto this deep core belief that I am different. So, I am different is something that you may resonate with if you're watching this, or there might be someone close to you that might resonate with this, and you can pass this video on to them or your group of friends, or maybe you and your girlfriend or you and a friend of yours have this thing like, I'm different, we're different. Part of me really loves that, and I see the uniqueness in you as I see the uniqueness in each individual. But I'd like to bring your attention today through this video podcast. I'd like to bring your attention today to what actually may occur with a persistent belief of I'm different in the long run. You see, when we know what we don't want, it helps our mind orientate itself to what we do want, which is a wonderful, beautiful thing. However, a persistent belief of I'm different leads us in life to start thinking, well, if I'm different, I just don't fit in there or with them, or they don't understand me, I don't really belong here. And what tends to happen is that it actually causes isolation. It causes isolation, it causes disconnection, rather than creating the connection that you so deeply would like. So as a therapist and a trainer, an educator, I've worked with founders and creatives and professionals who are extremely successful, and oftentimes there is this reoccurring theme. It's quite subtle and elegant, but when we do the deep work, it pops out consistently for these individuals, and fundamentally it sounds a little bit like, oh, they don't understand me, I don't fit in, I'm not like them, I'm better than them, which is something you may not share with anybody too openly, or I'm different, I'm just different, I feel different. Feeling different is a learned behavior. You see, no child, I really like using this example of a child, no human that I've worked with comes into this world, onto the planet, believing that they're different. On the contrary, a child is born believing that they are just like you if you are their primary caregiver. They insist on fitting in, they insist on belonging. It's something that they really need. However, as life experience goes on, they may develop, their ego may create this belief and this internal dialogue that aligns with, well, I'm just different. So while this is often celebrated by the ego as proclaiming your independence, your individuality, your unique point of difference, and your confidence, your importance, and your value in some capacity, it is also often a disguise that serves to only protect you from the very things in your life that your heart craves most. You see, the mindset doesn't just shape how you see yourself, it also shapes how you see others. And the mind can't make this distinction. If you believe that for thyself, then you believe that for another individual, for those around you. And so what happens is that it limits our ability to connect deeply with self and with others. So, for example, if you walk into a room, very vague, generic example, but if you walk into a room believing, oh, I'm different than these people, it may not be something that you verbalize or share with anybody, or maybe you do share it with somebody, great. But if you don't share it with anybody, it's still your internal dialogue, so it's still forming part of your reality and of your perception. It's very, very powerful. And so what happens is you'll be filtering all your interactions through that lens, and instead of connecting with people, you're causing disconnection. There's a wall that's up, and instead of listening with all your senses, you'll just be sort of you'll be responding but not deeply relating to them on a human level. It also forms the crust of this sense of comparison. You see, again, children don't come onto the planet comparing themselves to each other or to their loved ones who are there when they're born. You know, no child is born complaining about their lack of hair, the colour of their eyes, or how tubby their thighs are, or the fact that they've got a little pot belly. You know, they don't compare. Comparison doesn't exist. That happens later as the human journey evolves, and the ego has a need to understand how it can keep you alive, and so it tends to form this sense of comparison. But comparison leads to this sense of difference and can affect us one's sense of belonging and fitting in as well, which is also a human need. But fundamentally, I'm focusing today on connection, on how it hinders and puts a wall up basically on our ability to connect with self and with others. You see, it is human nature to want to be seen, to be heard, to fit in and to belong, absolutely. And our primal brain believes and is wired that we have this human need to belong, because some time ago, if we didn't belong to a tribe, our livelihoods quite literally were threatened, and it could mean the end of life. But that's not really a reality now. If you're not part of your tribe or the family you came from or something like that, you probably could survive if you had access to the internet, if you were of good health. You could most certainly have access to the services and to what you require in order to survive. But the thing is that it's also our nature to be valued and to be heard and to have a deep sense of belonging. And so in a world where, you know, personal branding and individuality are really championed and celebrated, it's easy to believe that we're all fundamentally different if we have this nerve in us, this muscle, let's call it a muscle. It's this muscle of comparison and difference. Now, just like any muscle, if you don't use it long enough, it will, if you don't lose it. If you don't lose it, you'll lose it, which is actually a really powerful point to make here. The more that you practice your mind to cease comparing, the stronger your mind will become aligned with and used to and familiar with the lack of comparing. And so that immediately opens you up to this energetic space of relating to other individuals and also to yourself. You'll definitely find that there'll be spaces opening up within you once you shift this sense of isolation and difference. And I understand, and I certainly relate on some level, that feeling different can be really empowering if you're wanting to better yourself. If you come from a space where you feel like, I can do better than this, I want more than this. The mind can easily, yes, attach onto I'm different, I'm going to do things differently, which is brilliant. Just it's important to be mindful that you're doing things to advance, to grow, to better thyself, and not because you want to be different. Yeah, the energies behind and the intentions behind those things they differ, and they are powerful and important. Okay, so the more we invest time in being different, the harder it becomes to truly connect. So, as I said, I'm not just referring to others, but also, like when I say others, I mean your intimate relationships, your team members, your family members, your clients. The most important connection you will ever make in life is having the courage to do so is the connection to yourself. The connection to yourself is the most important thing that exists. It's all that really matters from the beginning. From the beginning, it's a foundation. It's a foundation, being connected to yourself, listening to your body, being self-aware, nurturing self-awareness, following your trinkles of interest and inspiration and passion, so to speak. All these things are really important. So human beings are just simply wired for connection. Excuse me, and beyond our beyond our resumes, our cultures, and our unique life experiences and personal and little nuances, we each carry many similar core desires. The desire to be safe, to feel seen, to believe that we matter and that we're part of something that is considered special. When we focus too heavily on our differences, we stop looking for the similarities. We stop looking for, the shared human experiences of fear, of shared fears, of hopes, and the expansive nature and opportunity of the human journey. If we aren't careful, this sense of difference becomes a performance of isolation, a belief that you must be apart in order to be valued. I'm going to repeat that. If we aren't careful, this sense of difference becomes a performance of isolation, a belief that we must be apart in order to be valued. Okay, so it can be extremely isolating journey indeed. And oftentimes an individual can focus on one core area of their life, saying, I'm different, I've made all these decisions to prove that I'm different, and that's my point of difference, is my point of, it's my value, it's how I am valuable as a person. But if no one can really meet you, if you can never really share your deepest, most intimate parts of self with you, with another, with others, collectively, who could possibly understand you? How do you rate your human experience? You see, the ego convinces you that this difference is sort of like a shining armor, when in fact it resembles something beautifully designed to act as a barrier. It's designed, it's like a wall that few people are permitted to scale, if anybody, ever. And is that how you want to live? Imagine if you had that deep sense of connection, if your heart was open, if your mind was open to connecting with others and sharing in the basic human experiences. It doesn't lower or enhance who you are in any capacity. But imagine how much more value you could add to your own life experience, to the experience of others, to your clients, to your businesses, to your community, if you had made that small mental pivot in perception. Made that small mental pivot. You see, the ability to form meaningful relationships in life and in work often comes down to the one thing, and that's the courage to be somewhat ordinary. Now, ordinary, again, is not a value-based system. It's not, it's not being ordinary in your talent or how you show up in the world. What does that even mean? There's no measurable scale of ordinary. What I'm referring to is your ability to relate, your ability to be human, your humanness, the courage to be human. So real connection holds the essence of relating, not impressing, connecting, not comparing. So the healthiest teams and family units cultivate balance. So the desire is to cultivate an environment that celebrates individuality, the individual, while encompassing and emphasizing the shared goals, values, and experiences of the collective, whether it be the family, the team, the company, the community. It's about seeing each other fully, but that can only happen when one has the courage to show up fully. It can only happen when one has the courage to show up fully. Once you have the courage to show up fully, then it can get reflected back at you with others showing up fully. And the value of that environment is something extraordinary. That's when the ordinary flips into the extraordinary without you even trying. So I hope you enjoyed this video podcast. If it's something that really resonated for you, if you felt like you connected with some of the dialogue that was being shared, please drop me a comment or an emoji down below. I would love to hear from you. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like any more valuable and supportive content, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.